This is the old one?
Or is it?
No, this is it. I already changed it. I mean, because I literally changed it and then I took a photo. I took a screenshot. So I'm like, the old one should be gone now. Okay, so what are these? Without looking at the PowerPoint, see if you can do it first.
A1 and A2, XT.
Yeah. And I also put this note up here just because I know some people also didn't realize the answers are only used once. Okay. So anyways, back on this A1, we have female. So remember, you're looking at the metal contact, not the actual plastic portion. All right. A2, we have 60 male. A3,
female.
yeah. And if you don't have them side to side, it'll be kind of hard to tell. But I put them side to side. Plus, they're literally the same images from the PowerPoint. So hopefully that should allow you to reference it. Okay, so XT30 female, right? Okay, we have, and then A4 must be XT30 male. Let's see, B1. It's hard to see from the image. You kind of have to use a little, I guess, logic. If B2 is clearly what? The female, then B1 is the... I know you can't really see the pin, though.
That's what's deceiving on those XT ones. It almost looks like, at first glance, you go, oh, the first A1's a male. Oh, no, wait, it's in the other one.
Yeah, it is. So I clarified that in one of the videos. Yeah. Okay, so so again, B1 is the what type of male? Yeah, it's a balance plug. So JST-XH. B2 is the JST-XH female. All right, let's see C1. Again, you can't really tell. Actually, you can't tell on either one. But if you have the PowerPoint again, you can just see that I wrote it here. You can also just Google what these look like, right? If you just type in. So what is this one then? C1 and C2. Yeah. Male, and then yeah, perfect. So it's the JST XH male and the
RCY.
oh, I'm sorry, you're right.
Going down.
I don't know why it's like not alpha, right? Yeah. I wrote it in alphabetically. Oh, you know what it probably did? It scrambled it. I wrote it in alphabetically, but okay. Whatever. Okay, so this is the RCY female then. Also, was there enough time? It's 30 minutes.
It was this time.
Okay, all right. Just want to make sure. I also didn't ask like a crazy amount of questions. I think, I literally just asked one battery and then the plugs. Normally, like, it's 3 batteries in one quiz, but I'm like, I'll just do one right now. I'll just do another battery this time. Can
we get an hour next time?
I think 30 is enough. Yeah. Don't push it. Yeah. D1. Yeah, so this one actually looks like it because, so D1 is Dean's male, D2 is Dean's female. Okay. D1 is Dean's male, wherever it is. And all right, let me make sure this is the right one. Yeah, D2, E1.
E1 is the male.
Yeah. E2 is the. And what type of plug do we have? EC5, male and female. Okay, great. All right. Now, this is the same battery I'm using for all the following questions. So look at this, and you'll see what type of information. Let's see first, number of cells. Now, I like this image because it doesn't explicitly tell you.
I know, it was hard, at least on my screen, it was tough to count, but I got it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you guys know how to zoom in? You guys know how to zoom in on a screen? Like, I'm zooming in because I have a trackpad, but you can press, if you're on a Mac, it's Control plus. If you're on a Windows, it's Command plus. If you're on a Windows, it's Control plus.
Let me ask
You literally just go like this.
Because Because that first one I was looking at, I was wondering if this was a black one, but can you count?
Yes, you can also
Yellow?
count that too.
Okay.
You can count the
Those minus one.
yeah. This, if it's easier to see, this corresponds to each of the wires. So yeah. So we have 4. So how many cells is this?
3.
And that's really the only way to tell because
Doesn't much say on
there's no way you can see through the packaging, right? The packaging is opaque.
It says 11.1 volts. Can you just
Oh, there is that too. There's that too. Okay, yes. Good observation. You see it says 11.1 volts. So what does that mean? How do you know it's a 3 volt? I mean, it's a 3 cell with 11.1. 3.7. That's the key thing. 3.7 is our nominal voltage. That's what we use for our spec listing. In reality, we know the battery can charge up to what per cell? 4.2, and you can drain it down to like ideally no lower than like 3.2. Something. Yeah. Of course, you can drain it down lower, but I showed in the past what happens. You may not be able to recover it. Okay, so 3 cells. Next question. This one should be straightforward. 5200. Okay. Next. All right. This one is not a label. It's more of just a calculation that you should perform on every battery. What is 1C? Remember, what's the significance of 1C? That's what you want to charge it at. Yeah. So what is 1C here? If you were to charge this drum, or charge this battery. 5.2. Exactly. Does everyone see? Does everyone understand? Like you just divide by 1,000, assuming it's written in milliamp hours. You divide by 1,000. So 5,200 divided by 1,000 is 5.2. And you have to note I said to 1 decimal place. So I don't want you to round or anything. So 5.2. Because even on here, on the charger, right, it goes down to the 0.1. So I want you to get used to like, if this said 5,250 milliamp hours, what would you put? 5.3, yeah. So that point, it's 5. If you do 5,250 milliamp hour divided by 1,000, you get 5.25. But I only want 1 decimal point, so that would be 5.3. That's just algebraic rules, right? When it's 5, you round up. Less than 5, you round down. Okay. What's the max C rating? 80, it says here on the packaging. Now, what does that mean in terms of how much current you can draw? 80 times whatever C is. What is C? We just defined it earlier. 5.2 times 80, 416. And you note, again, I say in amps, not in C, because otherwise it would just be back to 80C, right? But we want it in amps, which is an actual unit of current. So 416, it's a whole number, so we can keep it there. Okay, what type of battery connection do you have? XT60. I didn't put XT30 on purpose because that can be a little ambiguous. But another thing, over time you'll notice the bigger batteries have the XT60, the smaller batteries have XT30s, because it's all about how much current you draw, determines the thickness of the wire. You need a thicker wire with more current. You need a bigger plug as well. So the drones that we're using in class is what type of plug? Right here? It's the 60. This is the 60. Yeah. So 30. Yeah, it's like if we still have the adapter up here, it's like about half the size. Yeah. I don't know where the adapter went, but we'll have to find it because I need to use that to help you guys charge the batteries. Okay. All right. That's it for the quiz. Let's submit it. Let's see how we did. Oh. Okay, is the score at the bottom? Yeah, 18 out of 18. Okay, good. All right, any questions on that? No questions? Okay. All right, well, I will make another quiz for Tuesday. It's literally going to be this. I'm just going to tell you now. It's literally going to be these questions, but with different batteries. All right. So, because next week, so I might as well announce that now. Next week, I'm going to test you This will be kind of like considered the midterm. But individually, I'll have you come up, and I'll have you just show me that you, again, I'll give you a real battery, and then tell me the same information, but then in addition, I need you to show me that you can charge the thing properly and put it into storage mode. So I'll show one more time. Do you guys need a review?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll show one more time, and then I also want you today to practice in person. Yeah, come practice. We have, I'm not going to talk as much, or at least that's the idea. You know how that goes. So I want to do more of like building out the drones, so that means there'll be more opportunities to also come up. Okay, actually, let me just show you now while I'm at it. I just need to grab any battery. Let me grab any battery. I think that thing is done. The battery's going to go out if we keep leaving it like that. But I don't want to touch it. It wasn't.
You're talking that back there, Jay, you just plug this in like.
I know, but it shouldn't take that long. It should already be done. All right, well, you know what happens if the battery drops too low, right?
Oh, he's just uncharging it or whatever down to storage, is that what he's doing?
I don't know what he's doing because I wasn't here when he did that.
He said he was calibrating the
Yeah,
IMU.
that takes like 5 minutes. It shouldn't be plugged in that long. Yeah. Someone want to just check the screen on it? It should say calibration done, if anything. Yeah. It shouldn't. I mean, you could turn it off. Is we don't want to lose another battery. That would suck, right?
How can you tell when you lose weight?
It's stuck. It's never gonna get done. Yeah. Well, since I didn't initiate it, I don't want to touch it. But the reality is, I've seen that situation many times. Nothing is gonna happen. It's gonna just get stuck in a loop, and it's frozen basically. All right. Well, if he initiated it, I'll just let him come back, and if he's not back by the time we're done with this tutorial, then we'll let him know. All right. First off, I gotta open up my camera view here. Okay. Let's ask the same standard questions. How many cells do we have here? I will point this, and also here, let me even turn this thing here. That way you have all the options. How many cells do we have in this? Yeah, there's really there's 3 ways to tell actually, now that I turn it here. So this one's actually kind of obvious, but what are they? What are the 3 ways?
It's written on it.
It literally says 4 cells, or if 4 in series. Remember, that's what the S is, 4 in series. What else?
You can look inside if it's visible,
I count 4 cells.
or you can check it out.
One of the wires.
Yep.
Minus 1.
Yeah, it's gonna have 5 minus 1. Yeah. Oh, that's right. There's the other way. Sorry, you're right. Okay, what do we have? We have the 14.8. That's right. Okay, so there's many ways. All right, many ways to tell that. Okay, next question. What's the capacity? Okay, milliamp hours. What is 1C? What is 1C? To 1 decimal point. To 1 decimal point. 1.6. So on this charger, we're going to do 1.6. All right. Okay. What's the max C rating? 100. What is that? What's the max current that can handle?
155.
Yeah, 100 times. Well, I guess you could do 1.55. Here you can preserve the remaining digits, but.
So what's the answer? 1600?
Well, what is it? It's 100 times. What is 1C?
1.6 we said.
Yeah, let's just use 1.6.
So
160. Yeah, 160 amps. 160 amps. Okay. What type of plug do we have here? I'm not gonna show the label. I'm just gonna. Oh shoot, you can see
It's an
it. Okay.
60.
Yeah, it's an XT60. Okay. Yeah. The batteries that have XT30 are gonna be like a quarter the size of this thing. All right, just to give you a reference point. Once you get about like double, like about like this, let's say you have a 2S the same size, it's probably gonna be an XT60 going forward. Just to give you a general guideline. So if you look at something like this, 4S, 1500, 5500, 1550 milliamp hour, it's definitely an XT60. I mean, just look at how much current it could take. Like, what we say, 160? Yeah. I mean, this does say it here. So in reality, when I'm asking you, you can look and you're like, oh, XT60. I mean, this tells you. Not all plugs do, though. So, okay. I think we basically answered the questions here. All right, so now let's look at how to charge it. Here, some of you have already done this, so maybe if you know it, you can let me know. Okay, what is the first thing we do? I mean, there's multiple ways to approach this, but what should we do first? If you know what to do,
Plug it in.
plug it in. Like what? I have 2 plugs.
Plug it into the left side.
Yeah, let's be specific. Yeah, XC60. Okay, which one do I choose? I have 2 of them.
One to the left.
It actually doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, right?
Okay, because this is a 2-channel charger. So this just allows you to charge 2 different batteries at once. So it doesn't really matter. What does matter is this next step. What is this called?
Balance plug.
And what do we do with it?
You want to make sure negative is on negative, so you want black all the way to the right.
Black all the way to the right. Okay.
Negative on negative.
So like this, right? Okay, so keep in mind, don't plug it in like this. It will let you. Come on. It will. It will. See? Don't plug it in like this. What's wrong with this?
It's not going to give a correct reading.
Yeah. It needs to calculate everything from the very right and going left. So you need to start from the very right. And you see how this opening is also not a perfect rectangle. It's kind of like narrower at the top. The narrower is supposed to account for this thing. So also don't plug it upside down. It'll let you once again, but look, it's already giving you an error. It's saying the polarity wrong. It's not going to fry the system, but it's just not going to work. So the only right way to do it is plug it in with the little 2 tabs toward the top, or in this case, it's black on the right side, and you also want to favor the right side as much as possible, like this. This is how you know it's right before getting an error message. We want to step into channel 1. Right now, we see both channel 1 and 2. You see it's a split screen. To step into channel 1, you can cycle it through by pressing the channel button. I'm in channel 1 now. Step one more time, I'm in channel 2. Press one more time, I'm in split mode, okay? But we're going to step into channel 1. What you want to check is, we already identified how many cells is this battery? 4. Do you see a reading on all 4 cells? That's what we want to see. Okay, so off the bat, we see what? What do we see? 3.8. Good. What does that tell us? Like,
It's in
That
red
is nominal.
More than nominal.
yeah, it's in like our storage mode, which is good. So it's about 60% full. 60% full. This is, well, ideally I like to find the battery. I just pulled some random battery off the shelf. Ideally.
I'm flying the Inspire tomorrow, and I hadn't flown it for a while, and it was at 58 and 60%.
There you go.
So that was
It makes sense,
pretty
right?
interesting.
So what happens is with DJI drones, they're smart batteries. They will actually self-discharge,
Yes, that's why I love it.
assuming you had it higher than 60%. If you flew it and you stopped the flight, you landed at 20%, it's not going to just magically bring it up to 60%, right? We would love to have self-charging batteries, right? But no. But it will discharge down if you're above. And it just does that in the form of heat dissipation. The battery will get warm, but not like crazy hot, but it'll get warm and it'll just like dissipate. It's just wasting electricity, basically. That's what it's doing. But it's doing it in the sake of getting it down to 60%.
How long will it stay at 60% if you're leaving it in storage?
Basically, like, yeah, I've had batteries for years. I open it,
Yeah.
I measure it's still 60%.
I didn't use it
Yeah.
once, and we pulled it out, and it was like,
Oh,
oh,
okay.
wow.
Yeah.
I thought I had noticed before, if I didn't pay much attention, that it went below that if you just left it there for like 3 or 6 months. And
No, I have
The
years.
DJI.
Yeah.
DJI still won't either. It'll stop at 60.
Oh yeah, it should stop at 60.
Okay.
Yeah, it should stop at 60.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll try to pay attention to that next time.
Yeah, but like I have batteries that I haven't used in years, and I took it out and measured it. It's still at 3.8, because that's the most stable voltage. It's the happy voltage. That's why we charge it. That's why we store it there. So yeah, important. Okay, so this is good. This is our 3.8. This is our storage voltage. All right, so we set it up right because I can see 4SL. I read 4 voltages. Let me show you what happens if I was to plug this in wrong. All right, this is what it looks like. Let's say, for instance, I plugged it in here. You see, I didn't favor the right side. Look what happens. What are our readings? They're all present, but they're not in the correct location. You see how number 1 is missing? It's 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's a frame shift. Yeah, so we want to put it so that we can read always starting from 1. Okay, good. All right, now what do we do? Does anyone know? We're in channel 1. Okay, what do we do to, let's just say we want to charge it now.
You have to get it to the 1C.
Yeah, we're gonna press the red button. We want to. Oh, okay. Wait, I got it out. What do we do now? I want to get back in channel 1.
Channel button again.
Channel button,
There you
and then I press down. This is a scroll wheel, but it's also a button. So press. Okay, what shall we do? So here, let's start from the top and work our way down.
Charge your storage, we're gonna charge it.
Yeah, we're gonna charge. So don't do balance. Okay, balance, I know I showed a long time ago on the other charger, because that one makes a distinction between charge balance and just charging. But here, charging will always balance it. The balance down here is just to balance the cells where they are, but not actually charge it. So, okay, so charge is what you want if you're charging it. Okay, so we're gonna charge it now. What's the next thing?
Battery type.
What type is this? Do you know?
We didn't
Say
say
it
it.
on there, but LiPo.
It should be labeled on here. I mean, basically all these are lipos. Let me see.
Lipo means lithium, right?
Yeah,
Lithium
Lithium
polymer.
polymer.
There's different types of lipo. Okay. Oh, right here it says to only use the lipo charging mode. But this is a lipo battery, even though it doesn't say. This is basically a lipo battery. Let me show you though. There is different options. You can't just say lithium because look, there's lithium.
went off.
There's lithium high voltage. That's what HV means. Well, high voltage means I haven't seen any battery here, but that means instead of charging to 4.2 volts per cell, it could charge up to 4.35. So that means the battery will last a little bit longer. Okay, but if you do have that battery, you need to choose that. But right now we just have a standard lipo. They have lithium ion, lithium iron, and iron. Okay, lithium Fe. That's what the Fe is the elemental. For iron. Then LIXX is just a generic lithium. That's why it's XX. It's like whatever you want to make it. Lithium zinc, or this is nickel, zinc, and lead. Yeah, plumbud or nickel cadmium, nickel metal hydride, and an L loop is actually Panasonic's rechargeable battery. I don't know if you guys seen those, the white ones. Like yeah, although there must be a different shape for you to use this because you can't just like plug a AA battery here. But anyways, we're gonna use lipo for this. The top two is basically gonna be the same. Actually, the third one's also gonna be the same because when we charge, we want to charge up to what? Yeah, so you don't need to change this. But if I want, perhaps next week when I test you on this, I might change it, and I need you to recognize that you need to change it to 4.2. If you forgot, this is what you can do. You go into 4.2, and look, there's a thumbs up. It's basically saying this is the recommended setting. Okay, so if you forgot, you can just scroll around, but hopefully.
Will it do that for whatever battery you plug in, say that it's not 4.2? It'll
Yeah, so
this one, okay.
Yeah, so let's go to lithium high voltage. Remember what I said about that one? Look, it's 4.35 now. It has a thumbs up there. Okay. So it'll change it according to what your chemistry is, but
And you said if you were to charge it for storage, I
Mm.
know this is already at that, but does it let you select 3.8?
it does. You can select whatever you want. Oh, it doesn't even it actually doesn't go down far.
Yeah, so then how do you get it to?
Well, that's a good question. What you need to do is you need to go to task and you need to put it into storage.
Oh,
When you're at storage,
okay.
when you're at storage, so you don't want to change the voltage as a means of putting in storage or charge. You want to select the mode,
Okay.
and then it will adjust accordingly.
So that discharge, will that completely discharge it then?
No.
No.
Well, it's going to discharge it to what's considered low voltage. Okay. So let's see. I say it's 3.2, but let's see what it says here because every charger is a little different. Oh, it says 3.6. Okay. All right. Yeah. That's actually not that much lower than. I think they're being more conservative because they don't want to like go too far down. But we're not gonna. I'm not gonna test you on discharge because honestly, I don't even use that setting. The two settings I use is the two I'm gonna test: charge and storage. That's basically it. Like
Discharging, they basically want you to fly.
just fly the thing. Yeah, just fly the thing. I know on the older batteries you discharge to cycle the batteries, but you don't do that on these. So that's why there's not really a need to discharge it. I mean, usually you're discharging just by using it. Okay, so I'm going to go back to charge. As you can see, if you want to do a certain task, you change it from the task, not from the voltage setting. Okay, so even if you try, let's say for instance, it won't let you. I want to go to 3.8. You see, I try to go lower. It's at 4. It doesn't even go lower. So that's also like another, at least that will prevent you from like doing it wrong, I guess.
It's a fail-safe.
Yeah, it's a fail-safe. That's the word I was looking for. Okay, cell count. What did we say earlier? 4S. This actually is kind of adjusted according to what you plug in. So you really don't need to change this setting. It adjusts. If you plug in a 3S, it will adjust for you. So the only time is like if this is not the same as what you have, then there's one of the cells is probably bad. Remember last time I showed one of the bad batteries? It's actually a 4S, but I plugged it in, it said 3S. Because one of the cells was so bad, it just didn't even recognize any life in it. Which at that point, you really shouldn't be using it anyways. So this is more of just a verification. You shouldn't have to change this because it will automatically update for you. Okay, this one is the one that you'll basically always have to change unless you're charging the same battery one after another. The reason I say that is because it remembers the last setting. So let's say you were charging this battery and then you have another battery, the exact same thing, then it's going to have the same setting. You don't have to change it. But if you're going to be charging different batteries, which is realistic, right? You're going to have different batteries for different drones. You're going to have to change this. So what do we say we want to charge at? 1C. 1C is what for this battery? 1.6. And you see why I said to 1 decimal point, because this thing only shows to 1 decimal point. Now, is it the end of the world if you charge it at 1.5? Actually, no. Not at all. You can always charge lower. It just takes longer. It's like a trickle charge. If you charge higher, then that's where it's a little bit more concerning.
Is it better for the battery to charge a little lower?
I don't think it's any noticeable difference if you charged it at like
I read some kind
0.5.
of article where they
Yeah.
said if you constantly charge under the 100%, like 90 or something, you extend the life of the battery.
Oh, okay. You're saying don't charge to 4.2 volts. Yes, that is true. But that's kind of like goes along to where I was saying like if you're not going to use it for more than a week, just put it into storage. That's actually funny enough. You see here on my laptop, I actually limited it to 80%. In case anyone has a Mac, you can actually use this thing. It's called al dente. I limit my battery to charge to 80% for that very reason because I'm hardwired in. I don't want to like fully charge the thing. So yeah, if you're not going to use it, don't charge it to begin with. That's the better thing. Just keep it as storage.
If you pull batteries out of storage,
Yeah.
and because you're going to go fly,
Yeah.
should you just fly them from that 60%, or should you do a full charge and then go take it out and fly?
Wait, if you're going to fly, just charge it to 100%.
Well, I'm saying, like, let's say you already had it in storage for the 3 months.
Oh,
and
okay.
It's still at 60%, and now you're like, okay, I'm going to go flying.
Uh-huh.
should you just take them as is and go fly, or should you?
Oh,
charge
I mean,
it back up?
you could fly it at 60. Like I did that today. I flew it
What's
from.
better for the battery life? Is it to?
Uh,
Doesn't matter. You're just gonna get
I
like
don't
5
think it.
times so-
I don't think it really matters. Yeah, just when you fly it at 60, you're only gonna get like
You-
less than half the normal flight
Okay.
time. Yeah.
Just curious if it's like, because I don't fly often enough. to
Well-
know I'm gonna need storage, but should I?
If I-
going out, should
If I think
charge
about it, like let's say you only need like a 5-minute flight,
Yeah, I just want to go play around for a little
it would be
bit. 3 days.
probably better to do it from the 60 and fly the 5-minute flight and then charge up to the 60 again.
Okay.
Because generally, like with the batteries, at full charge and at low charge is the worst places to be, I guess. Yeah, in a way. Yeah, so if you're going from 60 down to like let's say 40 because like you're just flying it for 5 minutes, then that would be the more ideal situation than charging it all the way to 100 and then flying it down. Yeah. But again, I don't think it's like as big of a difference as if you were to leave this battery fully charged for months at a time. That makes a bigger like impact on the battery than just using it like that one time. Yeah. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I did. So when you use like the battery fully, how many minutes can you actually recharge it back up to like full capacity?
How many minutes?
How long does it take?
Oh, how long does it take to charge up?
No, okay, so let's just say I used a battery for, flying, a full charge battery, and then I brought it down to 3.2.
Okay.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
And then how many minutes in between do I have to keep it, I guess, how many minutes do I have to wait to charge it again? Fly again?
Oh.
Like, if you just want to take it out of the drone and plug it in.
So you don't want to immediately start charging. The battery's still kind of hot. So let it cool. I would say maybe like give it at least 10 minutes. Let it cool. So ideally you have another battery. You use that, and by the time you're done with that battery, the first one is ready to be charged. Start charging, yeah. I don't suggest you immediately start charging after you depleted a battery. Yeah, let it cool down a little bit. So 3 batteries kind of solves that. Like if you have the first battery, you fly, you're done, and then you start flying on the second one. Like the drone is not a problem. Pop in a new battery, keep flying the thing. But the batteries, you want to kind of let it cool down a little bit. So by the time like the second flight is done, your first battery should be cool enough that you start charging it, and then you can use the third battery, and then maybe the first battery will be done or mostly done. Yeah, yeah. How long it takes to charge each battery kind of depends. But typically, I've seen like what it usually takes about an hour per battery. Is that everyone's kind of experience? That's kind of my experience. It takes like regardless of the size.
Charge option too on ours, so it takes about 30 minutes.
Okay.
It'll do it.
You said fast charge? Fast charge?
Yeah, there's a quick charge
Yeah,
for it
but
and then a regular.
Just remember what quick charge does. It charges
Yeah,
at a higher C rating, which it will charge it, but it's at the expense of shortening your battery life.
It's
Yeah.
there for
Yeah,
if you need
yeah.
it right away, yeah.
Sorry, she had a question.
In terms of the heat part of it.
Yeah.
Okay, we're in Southern California and you're out in Death Valley or something.
Yeah.
It's hotter than,
Yeah.
So, things like we were talking the other day about the cases for traveling to put them in.
Uh-huh.
Okay, do things like that at all help keep these things cooler at all?
Ooh.
Put in your ice chest.
Yeah, I don't know if a case will necessarily because
And then well that, or else when we get back to the truck, we put them directly like on the floor where the AC is, and just blast them on the way back to the shop.
yeah, the case really will end up probably being the same temperature on the inside as the outside. Yeah, so the only thing the case does is like protect it from impact and sun direct.
It's an insulator per se. It's
Yeah.
more-
Keep the heat in.
Keep the heat in real well, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want you to see.
Yeah. Yeah, you can think of the batteries like kind of, it's just like us. We don't want to be in too hot. We don't want to be in too cold. Well, they can tolerate a little bit more than us, right? Yeah. But like if you're on the other side, flip side, if you're flying in a very cold environment, you also need to keep the batteries warm enough. Yeah, otherwise. Yeah, yeah. But if it's too hot, yeah, I don't know. You just have to like keep it away from the heat. Yeah. I wouldn't say put it in a cooler per se, but like put it in an air conditioned car, like room temperature. Try to get it like closer to that or slightly cooler. Yeah. but not necessarily like fridge or freezer temperature. I wouldn't put it in that. Yeah. So, but I could take a quick look. Let me see what the optimal temperature for lipo. Well, for charging. Okay, so it's basically like what you would be comfortable in as a human, like this type of temperature. Yeah. So
Hot day, outside door.
yeah. So for charging, I mean, it's the same thing. It should just be like, it should be like basically the same thing.
3 degrees.
Yeah. They're like, I've seen this. I had another charger in the past that you actually put like a little, you Velcro a little temperature probe on here, and it just monitors in case the battery gets too hot while charging. It will shut it off. But that's, I mean, I don't know how popular that is as a feature anymore, because I don't see it on this thing anymore. But yeah, you want to be careful of what they call thermal runaway. Thermal runaway is basically the fancy term of what we saw when a big explosion happens. It's a domino effect. Like, yeah, it just gets out of control. But yeah, temperature-wise, yeah, keep it comfortable, like what you would be comfortable in. Yeah.
It's got me thinking more now about like my DJI batteries.
Mm-hmm.
Again, so I come back, I want them, you gotta charge them because you don't want to leave them, too low.
Mm.
But then it automatically defaults to charging it to full, because
Yeah.
and then it's gonna discharge it, as I don't use it. Is it best to try to more closely monitor it and only let it get to like the third light,
Yeah.
green light flashing?
That's what I do.
So it's a pain. There's no way to like automate
There-
that with
there-
DJI though, huh? You have to sit there and watch it.
Kind of. Unless, okay, so there's this one company that made a charger. I forgot. They're out of Colorado. Let me look it up. Drone charger. You know what I'm talking about? Okay, yeah, it's literally called. There you go. So they make this thing, and you can program it to stop at storage.
We have that.
If you want to buy it though, because it's not that cheap. It's pretty expensive.
It costs as much as 5 of these other chargers.
It's for, look at this thing. For the Vada itself, it's 600. And I think it's just the box. It's not even the batteries. I mean, like.
Just the charging box.
But yeah, the big thing about this one's kind of cool. If you guys have a hub,
Yeah.
most of the hubs, unless it's like one of those things is different. Actually, is that from DJI, those boxes over there, or is it? So if you have like one of the normal hub chargers, let's say you have a mini or a Air, those are what we call sequential charging. So one after another. This is simultaneous charging. So there is that benefit if you want to get this. But then this thing can also like, you can set it to like, you can set it to the whatever 50%, or sorry, you can set it to that storage mode without having to keep an eye on it. But my poor man's method is set a 20-minute timer and then I unplug it. That's what I do.
Electronic timers that you use for Christmas.
Yeah. That's what I do. Yeah, basically, most of the time it's like about 20 minutes, assuming you fly it down to about 30%, and then you charge it up to 60%, it's about 20 minutes. That's what I set a timer for, and then when I unplug it, it's about right. Yeah. So that's what I do at the moment, yeah.
And the only way you can check DJI is to push the button, right?
Well,
you can't.
when you're charging, the lights continuously like
That's what I mean. Well,
show.
yeah, but when it stops, so it's like
Yeah.
you can only go to gears 25% probably, right?
25 and thereof, because it does a flashing,
Yeah.
which
exactly.
tells you
So
it's somewhere between.
Yeah.
It's close enough, because 60 is not like 59%, all of a sudden is not good. It's just a target number. So basically, on a DJI system, you want to target between 2 solid lights and 2 solids and a flashing third. That's kind of your target range. Yeah, so if you get either of those, you're basically in a good place. Yeah. So, because even the 2 lights is not like 50% even. It's like probably they do a plus or minus 5 if I had to guess. And then the flashing is probably like from 55 to like 65 or something like that. And then like from 65 to 75. I don't know. Maybe it's plus or minus 10 if I think about it. Yeah, something like that. But yeah, it's in a whole approximation thing. yeah, with a DJI, you can't tell until you actually turn it on. But it's not that precise of an art. You don't have to like get it down exactly to that point.
That's why I'm wondering if it's worth wasting my time trying to monitor that closer. Just charge it. and
You
then
could just
plug
charge it.
and
Just
then
keep in mind,
charge-
not all batteries discharge down. Only like the pro level ones, like the Mavic and the Inspires, they will charge you down. If you have a mini, there's actually nothing smart about the mini battery. Well, they have a little chip still, but it doesn't do the self discharge. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, like if you're planning to bank on that method for all batteries, you have to know which ones have it and which ones don't. Okay, so we are going to set this at 1.6. There's going to be no thumbs up here because this thing, the charger doesn't know the size of this. Think of it as a big tank. If you open the spigot to get a cup of water, but the tank is behind a wall, you have no idea how much storage it is. So there's no way for this thing to tell you the thumbs up. You have to know which one it is. So this is probably the one everyone gets tripped up on. Okay.
That was the calculation we did. We took it, we minus it by 1,000.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
So you see right here, 1550 divided by 1,000 is 1.55, but we round it to the first decimal point, so 1.6. So 1C. That's what you want to typically charge it at. You can always charge slower. It's just trickle charging, and that's fine. It just takes longer. If you charge faster, really, generally you don't want to go more than 2C, which is what in this case? 3.2, yeah. You generally don't want to go more than 2C. 2C is considered like fast charging. That's what's good, fast charging. So that's why you can see it's not a big deal if I accidentally put it at 1.7. It's not going to like go crazy. But again, I want to show you like what we should be doing it at 1C. Just press the button, the red, and it will start charging. So you can see it's charging, and you just leave it. You can see what's going on right now. It's pulling 1.6 amps, and this is how much storage capacity we are restoring. So it's going to constantly climb up. It's not going to show 1500 or 1550 at the end though, because again we started off at what? About 60%, which is 3.8 volts. So 1550 is the entire capacity of this thing, but it's like having a tank 60% full and just filling the rest. So you're not going to see 1550. You're going to see something else. I honestly don't really care about these numbers. I just see at the end, are these all balanced? Remember what we kind of want to keep the voltages at? Plus or minus what from each other? Do you remember that one slide? 0.05. 0.05 volts. What are we right now? What's the delta between all of them? The difference between the biggest and the smallest? 0.008. Yeah, so we are well within that limit. This is a healthy battery. Remember how we were talking about internal resistance? This is a fairly new battery too, so let's take a look here. We have to wait till it's fully charged though, but we should also write on here what that is so we can monitor over time. But really, what you'll notice more than just looking at these numbers is it starts puffing up. I mean, that's kind of when you know it's like on its way out. So, I generally...
As it charges, will remember the fourth cell, the resistance go down?
No. Yeah, some are just going to have more internal resistance than others. Yeah. The other ones might like fluctuate a little bit, but chances are the fourth one might be our limiting factor. That might be the one that's always going to be slightly more. Yeah, but we're still talking milliohms. This is like very small. Yeah, so it's nothing is perfect. But yeah, just like over here, our voltages are not perfectly aligned either, but it's pretty close. Yeah. Okay, that's how you charge it, and then here you can monitor the other stuff. Okay, if you want to stop, you just press this. It stops it, and it turns black. Standby mode. All right. Storage is basically the same thing, but you choose storage mode instead of charge mode. And then our target voltage, if you're using Lipo, which we are, is 3.8. If you forgot or I changed it on you, thumbs up. Again, this should be set if you plugged in a 4S battery, but just double check. And then we need to change this. What do we change it to?
1.6.
Yeah, 1.6. Again, 0.6 is not a problem. It's just going to take longer, all right? Because we're under 1C. Yeah. Okay. Start task. This time it's a purple. It's a purple screen.
Storage discharge.
And it also says storage discharge. That's a good note. That's a good observation because we are above 3.8, so it's actually discharging it. If you were at 3.6, it's going to say storage charge. And actually, I don't know what color it's going to be. It might be a different color.
So it's actually discharging.
It's actually discharging it. Look at the voltages. They're going to start dropping. And you see the milliamp hours is negative. It's like, dissipating it in heat. That's why this fan needs to be on. So the voltages are dropping. It's going to keep dropping until it's 3.8 across the board. Or at least as close as it can get, because sometimes it doesn't achieve that. All right. You can also monitor this. This is a general approximation of the progress. It says 44%, which makes sense. It's like very close to 3.8. It's almost going to be done. Don't trust that though. It's just like a general approximation. You see it's not even updating. It's just kind of stuck at 44%. But we're almost done. What I'll do is I will leave this going because it'll finish within the next few minutes. And I want you to just hear. It's going to have a beeping noise. And then that's how you know it's done. And then all you have to do, does anyone else hear the fan revving up? Yeah, because it's dissipating the heat right now. All you have to do is you just press stop. Always press stop before you... Oh, wait. Look, it's already done. Okay, it was close to 3.8, but it didn't go to 3.800. Think about it in the grand scheme. We're talking 0.01 volts. It's not a big deal. So in its eyes, it's done. All right. So to stop it, we just... Look, even the 44% is still not at 100, so whatever. You stop it, you just press that, done, stand by. Okay, any questions? All right, shall we get the kits out? Yeah, so next week when we do this, are you going to be ready? Or no, yes, next week when we do this, you ready? Use today also to come up and try it. Grab different batteries too, because I just showed this one, so I want you to try different ones.
That'll be the.
Okay, what we want to do is plug in the USB cable to the little USB-C on your flight control board. You see that?
There it is.
Right there?
Way in.
Don't, not into the computer.
Also into the computer, the other end into the computer.
Very convenient spot.
Yeah.
Yes.
I got an A and I got a C. The C goes in the computer, the A goes in the.
Well, the C is the only port available on the drone, so the C goes to the drone, A goes to your hub. Because the
So
hub,
not to the computer.
you could normally, but only if you have a USB-C to C. If you don't have a C to C, no, you don't need to do that. You plug that to the drone. Yeah, the whole point of this USB cable is to plug to the drone. Okay. Then, I showed this last time, but not all the computers have been set up. You want to download Betaflight, the desktop version. Desktop version looks like this. So there's a web version, which is technically okay, but I like to use the desktop version. You go to Downloads, right here. And then you go to Betaflight Configurator, Latest Release. There's another button right here. It says, or run the latest version directly in your browser. That's the web version. I like to encourage you to do the actual desktop version, which is going to bring you to a website called GitHub. It's a repository for all the software stuff. It's a little confusing, but what you do is you scroll down, all the way to the bottom, and then you see assets. And you have, if you have a Surface, you can use the Windows 64 installer.exe. If you use Mac, you can use Mac OS DMG. That should be it, unless you have a Linux, but those are the two. So scroll all the way to the bottom.
Yeah.
If you're using a Windows, use Windows 64 installer.exe.
It's not here.
Let me see your screen. Can you turn it around?
It's at the very bottom.
You clicked on that GitHub. You clicked here. Are you on this website? Okay.
Betaflight.com
Late-
/download.
Okay, right here, latest release, where my mouse is,
Where's your mouse?
right here.
Betaflight latest release.
Scroll all the way to the bottom. All the way bottom, Windows 64 installer.exe. Okay, and then run that thing. Now, I saw last time there's an error message that pops up. It's like, or it's going to have a, not an error message, it's going to have a box and it's like, do you want to install for all users or just this user? And you have to press just this user, otherwise it's going to fail. So just press just this user. Does anyone see that box?
Yeah,
Yeah, make sure you click on just this user.
because otherwise you need to do that.
It should show up here automatically. You shouldn't have to choose it, but and then you'll know because if you press connect, the drone, you'll get into this screen. If you installed it if your connection is established. And you'll know it's talking to the drone because you move the drone. You see I move the drone? It moves. Okay, so. All right. That's the first step. Make sure that you're talking to the drone. Anyone not talking drone?
It's not talking,
Okay. Point, we're going to first check to make sure your orientation was correct. If you oriented the internal measurement unit or the flight control board, front is going to be front. How do you tell? You see the little green arrow on the drone? If I tilt forward so that the drone's looking toward the ground, is the green arrow looking toward the ground? All right, is everyone's looking toward the ground? Otherwise, you have some dismantling to do. Now, there is a way to flip it, but I don't like to show that because you should install it properly. But right here, you can actually change it. So what we could do is, let me just show this as an educational purposes. Right here, let me first show you. Under configuration on the left side, you can go to board and sensor alignment. And if you want to change this so that you can orient it properly, you can do that. But really, the better way is to mount it right to begin with. Okay, so we have it mounted right. Okay, the arrow looks down. The arrow looks down. If I roll to the right, drone rolls to the right. Pitch back, pitch forward. Okay, everything looks correct. Make sure it's moving like you expect it to move. Okay, what we're going to do is you're going to place it on a flat surface. Make sure not part of it is on the mat and the other is on the table. Just make sure it's completely flat. And then you're going to press calibrate calibrate accelerometer. Who knows what the accelerometer is? What does it do? Yeah.
Can I pull this out and put it back in? Because I can't place it flat the way it
What you can do is put that edge over the table. So so point it out, like that. So like basically most of the drone is like flat.
All right.
Yeah, but for future reference, now you know, don't do that. Okay, press calibrate accelerometer. Accelerometer just tells you how fast you're going. And you'll see the drone level off in the screen too. All right. Speaking of sensors, if you look up here, you'll see that there's a list of sensors that you could potentially have. Which ones do we have activated? Okay, so gyroscope tells you like your degrees of angle. Accelerometer tells you like the speed. That's all we got. We're missing a magnometer or also compass. So what does that mean? We have lost. We don't have this type of feature. What is that? What does that correlate to? Huh?
GPS?
No. GPS is its own thing right here. GPS tells us what does GPS sensor do? Position. It gives you position. That's how return to home works. And that's how like auto hold works. If there's a windy day and you're flying, the drone still holds because of GPS. Okay, what is magnometer or compass? What is that? Yeah, it tells you direction. So now we don't have a compass, so it doesn't know what direction it's facing. But for FPV, it's not a big deal because you're kind of flying this manually anyways. We also have, yes?
compass that shows up here
Yeah.
inaccurate, doesn't show.
Yeah, that's inaccurate. It's just, I don't know, it's arbitrary. Wherever north is probably where you turned it on at the time. I'm not sure. But that compass, I think the only thing you can take.
Mine's at north.
So mine says north is this way.
Yeah,
Mine says,
pointing this way.
yeah, same, mine says south is this way, so.
Is everyone's pointing this way, north? It shouldn't. Yours is pointing that way? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's arbitrary. This compass doesn't mean anything. Because I can tell right here, we don't have a magnometer sensor. So I think the only thing you could take away from this one visual is that if you're yawing to the right, oh, okay, I guess that makes sense. It's going to rotate to the left. But anyways, I think ignore this instrument. You can use this one. This one on the left is correct. The artificial horizon, that one's correct. Yeah, that one just tells you the tilts and stuff like that. So, okay, so barometer. We're also missing barometer. What does barometer do?
Air pressure.
Pressure, which translates to what? Altitude. Yeah, because if you go up, the pressure is lower. So that's how the drone, it will notice. Now, this is the same sensors we have on our DJI. It'll notice the difference in pressure. And that's how it can calculate how high you are. Okay, GPS, we talked about that. That one's positioning. And then there's sonar. What is sonar?
Pinging underwater for.
Yeah, it could be used underwater, but you can also use the above ground.
Is that proximity?
Yeah, it's distance sensors. So we actually have it. Okay, well, they don't have a sonar necessarily on here, but if you have like an older Mavic Pro, they have two ultrasonic sensors here. One sends out ping. It's like a bat. It sends out and then it listens. There's a speaker, little speaker, and then there's a listening device. And based off how long it takes for it to hear, it knows how far something is. So that's how it uses it to position and land. Now this one uses infrared light. So similar situations, like sending out pulses of light, and then it sees how long it takes to reflect back. So anyways, that's for positioning. So we don't have those. We just have gyro and accelerometer. And quite honestly, if you're flying acro mode, you don't even need any of those things, right? You are the sensor. But because we have gyro and accelerometer, now we can get like two pieces of information. We can get the speed, we can get the angle. That also allows us to keep auto level, right? If you know your angle, you can always reposition yourself to 0. 0 is what we set here. If you calibrate it right, where the drone is at the moment, this is considered level. If you leveled it with the drone sideways and you have auto level mode, the drone's going to want to try to position itself like that because that's what it considers 0. So because of these sensors, we have level mode, and you can always turn it on to manual mode, which is turning off the sensors. Okay. What else do we need to know from the startup screen? You can reset everything. Let's not do that.
So we clicked on calibrate accelerometer. When do we know it's complete? Is it immediate or?
I think, let me press it one more time. I think it grays out.
But where does it tell you it's done?
It doesn't. I think it grays out and then it comes back into yellow.
Okay.
So let me press it right now. Yeah, you see it says calibrating, and it literally it's done. It literally took like 2 seconds.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
that's it. Okay, there's another one that we're not going to really press, but if you do watch a lot of like the Josh Bardwell videos and stuff, you can get into the bootloader and the DFU. This is how you would like do like firmware changes and stuff like that. So we're not going to do that.
Yeah, but mine doesn't.
Yeah.
You don't have that? Okay, don't worry about it. We're not going to really like touch that anyways. Okay, that's all we need to do in the setup. The setup, we just need to check that your drone is, your flight control board was mounted properly, and you calibrate the accelerometer. That's it. Everyone done those 2 tasks? Okay. All right. Let's go now to ports. Okay. I talked about UART port. Does anyone remember what a UART port is last time? Universal, huh? Universal. Oh, wait, what does the A mean again? Universal something receiver transmitter. Asynchronous. Thank you. Asynchronous. So basically, this can be both either it can either be a receiver or transmitter, right? So it's a general port. So think of it as just like additional options. Each UART port, you can, at a minimum, you need one. What is that for? At a minimum. Every drone needs to have at least one type of UART port. What is that for?
Communications with the control board?
Yes. Or with the controller. Yes. Right, in the control board, yes. So what is that device? We have to talk between the drone and this, right? That's a communication channel. So that's a receiver, yes. So your receiver is going to be the bare minimum UART. In this case, if you look, I have the UART on, I have UART 1 as my receiver. How do I know? Because it's a serial receiver right here that's turned on. Now what you should do is, all of us should be on UART 1, by the way, because the receiver, if you remember the receiver, it's that little tiny piece that's like this big. It's actually the thing that is, I don't know if everyone's blinking green. Is yours blinking green? That's actually the receiver. It's that little tiny piece, 1 by 1 centimeter. Why it's blinking green, by the way, it's because it's trying to find the controller. We have not turned on a controller yet, so that's why it's blinking green. Once it's found a controller and it's bound meaning just because you turn on controller, it's like, how do I know I'm supposed to talk to this one, right? Bound means that, okay, I found a connection. Then it turns solid green. But right now, we don't have it on, so that's why it's flashing, it's looking. So all of our receivers have been soldered on from the factory at UART 1. So you can confidently turn on serial RX, UART 1, turn everything else off. Just make sure you have serial RX. If you are building this from scratch, you would solder that on, and you would have to take note which UART port you put the receiver on. It doesn't always have to be UART 1. You can put it on any UART. So
Does the board say it?
it does say it. So what is this board called again? I pulled it up last time. Rotor Riot solder-free build. Yep, right here. See if I can pull up the what is the
So there's several choices.
yeah. Huh. What's the flight control board on this thing? Oh, right here. This thing. This is a 2-in-1. It has both the flight control board and the ESC in it. Okay, let me see if I can pull up the spec sheet. Wiring diagram? Okay, perfect. I'm going to zoom in. Okay, you can see right here, it's not going to say UART 1. You see, it says right here, TX1, RX1. So that would be our UART 1. Okay, if you plugged anything to either the TX or the RX1, it's considered UART 1. We also have UART 2. Where is UART 2? Let me see if I can look around. Right up here, you see that?
Why is it separated and then if it's the same one? It's like two different.
Yeah, so it depends on what you plug in. Because UART can be either receiver or transmitter. Universal asynchronous receiver transmitter. So it depends on what you're using it for. So in our case, we're using a receiver. What is a receiver? What's the signal flow? Is it from the drone to the receiver, or is it from the receiver to the drone? Where's the signal going?
Into the control board.
Yeah. Does everyone see that? Do you recall from this? Here's our remote control. Here's our receiver. Follow the blue arrow. The blue arrow is telling you the signal. It's going into the flight control board. Now this is a tricky thing here. Imagine you're the flight control board. You're getting a signal from the receiver. Which of the two do you wire in the receiver? Do you wire to the receiver port or the transmitter port? what are you doing ultimately? Right here, are you receiving a signal or are you transmitting a signal? Yeah, so you would do RX here. Yeah, you would put an RX here. Okay, so the receiver, so it depends on the signal flow. We're getting signal into the flight control board from outside. So that's why we would wire it 3 places. Ground, power, RX1. That's it. You would leave the TX1 empty in this case. Yeah. If you are doing a, what's something that sends signal out? Let's say one of these outputs, let's say LED lights. LED lights, that would be considered an output, which in this case, we're sending signal out of the flight control board. Or in other words, we're transmitting signal out. Then if you were to use UART1, you would put ground, power, and TX1 to your LED lights. That's what you would do. So it depends on what you're using the UART for. Are you using it for receiver or are you using it for transmitting? Yeah.
Since you're using it for the receiver, you'd have to go to another UART to control the lights?
Yeah, you would. Yeah, you would. You wouldn't be able to do that. Yeah. So that's where you need more UARTs if you want to do some other fancy function. But minimum you need 1 for the receiver, right? Minimum you need 1. Okay, so we have UART1 here, UART2, where's 3? Where's UART3? Right here. I see TX3, but where is RX3? That's kind of weird.
That's on the side there. The DJI HD port, RX3.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it says that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. So RX3 you won't actually be able to use as a customized UART port. That one's kind of been predetermined as part of the DJI HD port. So that one's kind of off the table. What about UART4? UART4 is up here. Okay. UART5. And then I think that's it. We only have 5 UARTs, right? Look back here at Betaflight. Yeah, we only have 5 UARTs. That makes sense. That's it. So really currently we're only using 2. At least I think we should all be on the same thing. Ours is soldered in, UART1 to the receiver. And then look, the DJI HD port, that is our VTX. And just like you pointed out, it's using UART3. You see TX3, RX3. That's why I have here the configuration is turned on for UART3 because that's being used for the VTX right now. Okay, so you should have what you see up here. And technically I have another UART that's the USB, but you see how this is actually grayed out because it's been assigned to the USB port, so you can't use it for something else. So serial RX turn on for UART1, and then UART3 has the configuration MSP. I have it at 15.115.200, so just probably put the same thing here. If you want to put another device on here, let's say you had a GPS. Your available UARTs is now 2, 4, or 5. That's all you have left. Those are your only options. You can put on any of them. And then if you were to put on GPS, that would be considered a sensor, right? Go back here, look at GPS. Look at the blue arrow. GPS is sending signal to the flight control board. It's an input. It's a sensor in the eyes of the drone. So in that case, we would go under sensor input. And let's say I put it to UART2. I would select GPS. There you go. So, but we don't have a GPS, so I'm going to leave it off. Yes?
Is there a reasoning or a method to why we use what number we use there?
Oh, this baud rate?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah. Baud rate is actually, I'm not, do you know how to explain it?
It is a communication speed.
Yeah, it's communication speed. Yeah. You just have to, I guess, you have to match it up. If your device is expecting this rate and your device is sending it at that rate, it needs to match up. That's all I know. Yeah. Otherwise, you won't hear the signal.
How do we know what our device is expecting?
Maybe spec sheet, and also sometimes trial and error. If a baud rate doesn't work, I just change it until it starts working. Yeah, but spec sheet will be your better bet. Spec sheet, you have to do a little digging, just like I did here. I looked around and I found this thing. And this is not really even like an official spec sheet. This is just images that they put up. Like really spec sheets get kind of more complicated. You'll see like a lot of curves and graphs and stuff like that. But to be honest, this is a little refreshing to just have like just the simple images. Oh, look, even tells you what to turn on. Okay, we're fortunate here. They make it easy for us. But really, if you were to individually buy components, there's no manual that's going to tell you turn this on, because it's like we sold you the part. I don't know where you put it on the board. You could put it on any UART, so they can't tell you with confidence. On the other hand, though, because this is a kit, they already predetermine where everything is wired in, so they can tell you what to turn on. Okay, so
It's saying DJI, but it isn't the.
this is a no. Okay, so let me clarify that. I'm gonna look in your box here. This is a walk snail. Is it behind your box? Oh, right here. Okay, well actually, I don't know. They maybe just called it DJI because you could put a DJI VTX on it, but in this case, we're not using a DJI VTX. Yeah, that just might just be their labeling. But look here, they're using an example. If you use a DJI Air unit, you guys know the Air unit. That's kind of like the predecessor to the O3 and the O4 system. Is the Air system. So that's probably why they call it the DJI port. But we're using it for. Wait, actually, are we using it? Oh, we are using it. Yeah, we're using it. We're using it for something else. So it's not like DJI specific. In this case, yeah. How would you know? I think you just kind of have to like. If you look here, you realize that it's basically, they call it a DJI HD port, but really it's just packaging 10 volts, ground, TX3, RX3, ground, and also RX1 too. So that's all it's really doing. So it's not specific to DJI, although it's conveniently sized and spec'd out for DJI, is how I would say.
When you bought the kit, you had to select if you wanted.
Yeah.
If you selected DJI.
Look, right here, they had an O3 system, but we're using, I don't even see it anymore. I guess it's the Avatar HD. Is that what it says on there? Avatar HD? I don't know.
Walk snail.
Yeah. But anyways, that's what we're using. We're using not the DJI. But I think they just generalized it and they just said the DJI. Which can be a little misleading. That's what's really confusing about FPV is like you kind of have to have a baseline knowledge of a lot of things. Otherwise, if you take it at face value, you might be like, oh, I must use a DJI with this. And it's like, well, in reality, you don't. Just understand what's actually in that port. And those are the things in the port. Okay. So we are still going to have the same UART settings because like physically, that's what everything is connected to. So just like we showed, serial RX on UART1, UART3, and they're saying baud rate of 115200. And then these other settings we're going to turn on next, okay? Let me go back to Betaflight. So this is all we're going to touch here. I want to show you, though, if you were to add on an LED light, you get fancy. We still have additional UART ports. You can now turn on peripherals. Sometimes you don't turn on a peripheral. Sometimes you just have the configuration. It'll just be on. It depends, okay? You kind of have to read into it and see what to do. Okay, so we're done here. Okay, now we're going to go to configuration. Starting from the left side, we're going to work our way down. We want to turn on the accelerometer. We have that sensor. Let's turn it on. So that should be on. You want to give this a name, you can name it something else. Okay, the only time it's going to show up is in your goggle if you choose so to display it in the goggle. And I'll show you again how do you choose what elements. So feel free to call it whatever you want.
Mine's listed as Mike Sucks.
I remember whose drone that was last year. Yes, I do. Yes. Okay, so anyways.
Change your to Maverick.
Camera. We do not have a servo motor. So if you had a fancier motor or a camera like a Nevada or that can tilt the camera, then you can set the camera angle. But that would be another UART, by the way. That would be considered an output because you're telling a motor to tilt. But we don't have that. We have a fixed camera, which is what most FPV drones are anyways. We have a fixed camera. So that doesn't even mean anything. Leave it there. Okay, arming. Maximum arm angle. What that's going to tell you is that it will allow you to arm the drone at a maximum of 180 degrees, which means it will allow you to arm even if you're like this. Okay, which means you can basically be in any orientation, it will still arm. If, for safety reasons, you want to reduce that so it won't arm if the drone is beyond here, then you can reduce that angle. 180 is the max, because 180 both directions basically encompasses the 360.
What's arming?
Oh, arming, the term of arming means that is enabling all of these sticks. So right now, assuming this was on, it's just like your drone, your DJI drone, you turn it on, but you don't go like this, or you don't press the takeoff. You go like this, nothing happens. So it's disarmed. Yeah, once it's armed, these are become active. And now it's actually going to have a movement on the drone. So this is telling you what is your condition on the angle of the drone that it will not arm. So if you put this at 10 degrees, if this drone is more than 10 degrees, it's not going to arm, because it thinks that maybe it's like upside down or crashed or whatever. A lot of drone racers, though, they'll actually put it on like a block like this, and then you're actually, the reason you do this is because that way you can take off and you just go straight like that, instead of having to go like this and then forward. Yeah, you're already like straight off like a rocket. So you actually don't want to really limit yourself, because your drone could be like 45 degrees and when you take off. So we could just keep it at 180, but I guess if you wanted to lower that for some reason, you can lower it. So it's going to go between 0 to 180. Okay, air mode. All right, so other features down here. So air mode, that is air mode, I believe that's their way of calling the acro mode. Let me just look up. So, and there's a lot of Googling, because what does air mode do? What? Okay. There's way too many settings in Betaflight. I don't even remember what all of them are. Oh, I'm sorry.
And we had gyro update frequency at 3.2 kilohertz.
I have no idea. It sounds like it's basically it's adjusting the throttle threshold in a way. I'll just keep it on. I don't know. I'm just keeping whatever is on here. The other thing I'm turning on is OSD. OSD is your on-screen display. That's what you would see in your goggle. So you want to see some important information. What type of information would you want to see from your flight? Altitude is good. Speed. Distance from what?
The wall.
That's ideal, but we're missing the sensor that allows you to see that, which is GPS. Okay, we have no way, so you won't be able to see that in this drone. But what else? Very important. Haven't heard it yet. What kind of information do you want to see on on-screen display? Think about when you're flying your DJI drone, what kind of information do you see? Battery. Yeah, that's very important. Yeah. Yeah, if there's a sensor for that, yeah. But you want to see battery. You could display either, I like to display two numbers. I display the total voltage and I display the per cell voltage. Because regardless of what battery, the per cell is always going to follow the same numbers we're talking about. So, yeah. So anyways, that's your OSD. So just turn these two on. Turn these two on. Let's see what else we have here. These should all be 0, your board and sensor alignment, because again, you mounted it right? So these should all be 0. We don't want to trim the accelerometer. Trimming is like making little adjustments, okay? You can actually also trim on this radio controller. There's these little tabs down here that if you notice the drone is slightly drifting one way or another, you can make little adjustments here. So that's trim.
So when you do that, like say it's drifting left,
Yeah.
you trim it left.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So that cuts it from.
If it's drifting left, no, you trim it right.
Okay,
So that
the drone I have is weird then because.
because trimming it left is just going to push it even
Well,
more to
that's
the left.
what-
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And I hit left and it stopped it from going. I don't know.
I don't know.
I'll bring it, I want to look at it.
Here's the deal though. These drones don't have GPS, so in one moment the wind is blowing this way, you might trim it, and then the next moment it starts to drift the other way. So trimming is almost a lost cause for these drones because they don't have GPS. There's no way to hold it. If it has GPS and it's drifting, then it might be like, yeah, the trim can actually do something. But just keep this at 0. D-Shot is the ESC protocol. Okay, so it can make different noises. I think for us to hear it, we have to plug in a battery. So side note, right now we are plugging our drone through USB. USB, does anyone know the voltage of USB, standard USB? 5 volts. What is the battery that we have here? Anyone remember? It's a 4S battery, I'll tell you that. Yeah, 11.1's a nominal. 5 volt is not enough to fully power this drone, which means that the only thing turned on right now is the flight control board. We cannot turn on our motors and stuff. So therefore, some of these features we won't be able to actually test until you plug in the battery. So if I change the D-Shot and I change the tone, if for instance, you know when you plug in the drones, it makes a noise? I don't know if you guys heard last time, but yeah. Right now it's not going to make a noise because the ESC is not even active because there's not enough voltage because we're using USB. If you look up here, you can see it just says USB. Later, when you plug in an actual battery, it'll show you the total voltage and it'll show you like a filled battery so that way you can get an idea. Okay, I basically have all these on. I don't know if we need all these on, but sure, turn them all on. Let me just take a look down here. Take a look down here right now, see what you understand about it. Any questions? I know there's a lot of stuff. Some of these don't even matter. Like, yeah, I don't think some of these really matter, but we'll just have them on anyways. It doesn't really impact us. Okay, that's this configuration tab. Any questions on configuration tab?
Can we save and reboot at the bottom? Or?
You can, yeah. If you want, you can occasionally save and reboot. Sometimes it will force you to save and reboot depending on what setting you have changed. But, okay, does everyone have a battery? By the way, do you guys want to take a break now or just wait till 5? I know we kind of went a little longer, but... You want to take it now? Anyone else? Okay, fine. Take a break. Come back at... let's do 4... How about 20 minutes? 4:25? Is that good? I was going to say 4:20. But... yeah.
Fat battery or skinny battery?
Fat one. Okay, in the meantime, if you want, come up and try the charging during this break.
Can we use our